Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Kelly Ripa sat at her desk, hands folded tighter than usual, eyes shining with a sheen that betrayed everything she tried to keep contained. The familiar buzz of morning television, the gentle laughter from the crew, the comforting rhythm of routine hung awkwardly in the air, as if the room itself sensed that something was terribly wrong. For years, viewers had tuned in to watch Kelly's quick wit and radiant smile carry them through their mornings. But today, the smile faltered. Today, the laughter never quite landed. No one knew it yet, but the world she had built with Mark Consuelos was standing at the edge of a cliff. It began the night before, in the quiet of their kitchen, long after the house had gone still. The children were asleep, the city outside hummed like a distant ocean. Kelly had been scrolling through messages on her phone, half listening as Mark rinsed a mug at the sink. He seemed distracted, too quiet, too careful in his movements. She asked him, gently at first, if everything was okay. He turned around slowly. There are moments in life when a single look tells you more than 1,000 words ever could. Kelly felt it then, the unmistakable shift, the sense that something precious was about to change forever. Mark sat across from her, hands clasped, jaw tight. He didn't rush. He didn't soften the moment with humor. That alone scared her. "I've made a decision," he said. Those 4 words landed like thunder. Mark spoke about restlessness, about years of pushing forward without stopping to breathe. He talked about dreams he had put on hold, questions he had buried beneath responsibility and routine. And then he said it. The thing Kelly never expected to hear. He was stepping away from the spotlight, from the life they shared so publicly, from the rhythm that had defined them for decades. Not from her love, he insisted, not from their family, but from the world they had navigated together. Kelly felt the room tilt. She listened, nodding where she could, trying to understand, trying to be strong, but inside something cracked. Mark's decision wasn't cruel, yet it cut deeply. Their lives had been intertwined in every possible way: work and marriage, fame and family, joy and sacrifice. The idea of him choosing a path that pulled him away, even temporarily, felt like a loss she didn't know how to name. When he finished, silence swallowed the room. Kelly stood up, walked to the window, and pressed her forehead against the glass. She didn't cry right away. She's always been like that, holding it together until the very last second. But when Mark reached for her hand, when his voice softened and wavered, the tears finally came. Quiet at first, then unstoppable. "I don't know how to do this without you beside me," she whispered. Mark held her, but even in his arms, she felt the distance already growing. The next morning, Kelly arrived at the studio early. She needed the familiar. The makeup chair, the coffee, the script she barely glanced at. Everything felt normal on the surface, yet unbearably fragile underneath. Producers noticed something was off, but no one pressed her. Kelly Ripa had always been the rock. If she said she was fine, people believed her. Until she went live. Halfway through the show, a segment meant to be light and playful took an unexpected turn. Kelly's voice trembled as she read from the teleprompter. She paused, blinked, tried to recover. The audience shifted uncomfortably. Her co-host glanced at her, concern etched across his face. And then, without warning, Kelly broke. Tears streamed down her face as she lowered her head, shoulders shaking. Gasps rippled through the studio. Millions of viewers at home watched in stunned silence as the woman who had guided them through countless mornings finally allowed her own heartbreak to be seen. "I'm sorry," she said, voice cracking. "I didn't plan for this." She tried to explain, not in details, not in headlines, but in emotion. She spoke of change, of love being tested by difficult choices, of the fear that comes when the future no longer looks the way you imagined it would. She didn't name Mark's decision outright. She didn't have to. The pain in her eyes said enough. For the first time, Kelly wasn't performing. She was surviving. The clip spread within minutes. Social media lit up with concern, speculation, and an outpouring of support. Fans who had grown up watching Kelly felt as if a family member was hurting. Messages poured in from around the world, words of encouragement, prayers, memories of moments when Kelly's laughter had helped them through dark times. Back at home, Mark watched the broadcast alone. Seeing Kelly like that, unguarded, devastated, felt like a punch to the chest. He knew his decision would hurt. He just hadn't realized how deeply, how publicly. The guilt settled heavy in his stomach. He wondered if he had been selfish, if his need for change had blinded him
When
to the
Kelly
cost.
returned home, the house felt different. Not empty, never empty, but altered. They sat together on the couch, exhaustion wrapping around them like a thick fog. Kelly looked at him, eyes red but steady. "I love you," she said. "That hasn't changed." Mark nodded, tears filling his own eyes. "I love you too. That's why this hurts so much." They talked for hours about fear, about identity, about what it means to grow together without growing apart. There were no easy answers, no dramatic resolutions, just two people trying to find their way through a moment that had cracked their foundation. Over the following weeks, Kelly returned to the show with a brave face, but something had shifted. Viewers noticed it, the quiet strength behind her smile, the depth in her laughter. She spoke more openly about vulnerability, about how even the strongest partnerships face seasons of uncertainty. Without sharing specifics, she allowed her audience to walk with her through the ache of not knowing what comes next. Mark, meanwhile, kept a lower profile. He focused on reflection, on the reasons behind his decision, on making sure that whatever path he chose didn't leave Kelly behind emotionally, even if it changed their shared routine. He wrote her letters, real letters, handwritten, apologizing when words spoken aloud felt insufficient. One evening, Kelly found one of those letters tucked into her bag. She read it alone in her dressing room, tears falling onto the paper. It wasn't to promise to fix everything. It was something rarer, a promise to keep choosing honesty even when it hurt. That was when she realized something important. Devastating news doesn't always arrive with betrayal or tragedy. Sometimes it comes wrapped in love, delivered by someone who is trying to save themselves without meaning to break you in the process. That doesn't make the pain any less real, but it gives it a different shape. Months later, when Kelly finally spoke more openly in an interview, her voice was calm, grounded. She admitted that Mark's decision had shaken her to her core, that she had cried more than she ever thought she would in public, that there were nights she lay awake wondering if the life she cherished was slipping through her fingers. "But," she said softly, "I learned that love isn't about holding on so tightly that no one can breathe. It's about trusting that even when the path changes, you're still walking it together." The world exhaled with her. The devastating sadness never fully disappeared. It rarely does, but it transformed into understanding, into resilience, into a quieter, stronger kind of hope. Kelly Ripa didn't emerge unbroken. She emerged honest, and in that honesty, she found a new way forward, one tear at a time, hand in hand with the man whose shocking decision had nearly undone her, but ultimately taught her the depth of her own strength. "But," she said softly, "I learned that love isn't about holding on so tightly that no one can breathe. It's about trusting that even when the path changes, you're still walking it together." The world exhaled with her. The devastating sadness never fully disappeared. It rarely does, but it transformed into understanding, into resilience, into a quieter, stronger kind of hope. Kelly Ripa didn't emerge unbroken, she emerged honest. And in that honesty, she found a new way forward, one tear at a time, hand in hand with the man whose shocking decision had nearly undone her, but ultimately taught her the depth of her own strength.